The story opens in a quiet frontier town, a place caught between wilderness and the creeping influence of settlers. Dust swirls in the late afternoon wind, and the sun casts long shadows over wooden cabins and worn fences. The air smells faintly of smoke from nearby hearths, mingled with the scent of pine from the surrounding forests. This town is small enough that news spreads quickly, yet isolated enough that secrets can still linger in the corners of cabins and behind closed doors. It is here that the protagonist, a young man of gentle demeanor, cautious and reserved, has long observed the Apache warrior from a distance. This warrior is a figure of strength and mystery, tall, muscular, and commanding respect with every movement. There is an aura of danger around him, yet also an inexplicable magnetism that the protagonist has never been able to ignore. The narrative begins with the protagonist performing his daily routine, whether it be working in a local shop, tending a stable, or walking along the dusty streets. His thoughts inevitably drift to the Apache, whose presence has become an almost haunting force in his life. The protagonist has admired him quietly, marveling at the combination of fierce confidence and subtle, restrained vulnerability he occasionally reveals. Despite this fascination, he has never dared approach the warrior, fearing both rejection and the judgment of others in the conservative frontier society. It is a tension between desire and propriety that has silently governed the protagonists. Every interaction. The first major turning point occurs during a shared, unplanned moment. Perhaps the protagonist finds himself in danger, an unstable cartwheel, a sudden band of outlaws, or even an accidental encounter in the forest, and the Apache appears unexpectedly, his presence commanding and protective. The warrior's eyes meet the protagonist's, intense and unwavering, conveying a silent promise of safety. It is in this charged atmosphere that the Apache speaks words that will forever alter the protagonist's life. "You need love, and I need you in my bed." The words hang in the air, startling in their directness and intimacy. They are not merely an expression of desire, but a declaration that acknowledges both the protagonist's need for emotional connection and the warrior's own longing. The protagonist is paralyzed with a mixture of shock, confusion, and an undeniable stirring of desire. He struggles internally, questioning the sincerity of the Apache's confession, the morality of feeling attraction in a world so quick to judge, and the potential consequences of reciprocating. At the same time, he feels an involuntary pull toward the warrior, drawn by a force that seems almost magnetic. His mind races with conflicting emotions, the fear of societal scrutiny, the danger inherent in giving in to desire, and the intoxicating thrill of finally being seen and desired by someone he has long admired. The Apache, sensing the protagonist's hesitation, does not push further in that moment. Instead, he lets the words linger, understanding the power of unspoken tension and the slow burn of anticipation. His confidence is tempered with patience. He knows that true connection cannot be forced. This moment establishes the dynamic that will dominate their relationship, a balance of power, vulnerability, and mutual longing. The story sets the stage for a slow-building tension where every glance, every touch, and every shared secret carries weight and significance. The protagonist is left grappling with a new reality, the possibility of love and desire intertwined in ways he has never dared imagine. The reader understands the stakes, the protagonist's internal conflict, the Apache's straightforward and commanding nature, and the societal pressures that surround them both. The story is poised to explore not only romantic and physical attraction, but also the deeper emotional intimacy that can develop when two people confront their desires honestly. The unexpected confession is not merely a plot device, it is the spark that ignites the tension, passion, and emotional journey that will carry the story forward. the shock of the Apache's confession. The male protagonist is left reeling, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. He finds himself unable to think clearly. Every ordinary task is now colored by the memory of those startling words. His heart races at the memory, and yet a voice of caution whispers constantly, "This is dangerous. This could ruin everything." The quiet frontier town, once familiar and safe, now feels stifling, as if every passerby's glance could expose him. The fear of societal judgment is nearly as intense as the pull of desire, setting up a powerful internal struggle that defines this part of the story. Determined to regain some sense of normalcy, the protagonist initially avoids the Apache. He walks the streets with careful attention, keeps to his work, and even avoids shared gathering spots where he might run into the warrior. But the Apache, patient yet persistent, does not give up so easily. He appears in subtle ways, a reassuring presence at the edge of the marketplace, a shared moment at the river, or a glance that lingers just a little too long. These gestures are small but potent, creating a tension that is both thrilling and maddening. The protagonist becomes acutely aware of his own reactions: flushed cheeks, a quickened pulse, and a deepening fascination that he struggles to suppress. Story uses these encounters to explore the growing emotional connection. The Apache demonstrates care without overt pressure, helping with chores, providing protection during moments of minor danger, and showing awareness of the protagonist's moods and needs. These acts reveal a softer side beneath the warrior's confident exterior, a depth of feeling and attentiveness that only intensifies the protagonist's conflicted emotions. He is drawn to this complexity, recognizing that the Apache's desire is not superficial, but intertwined with genuine care and respect. External tension also begins to play a role. Perhaps there are townsfolk who are suspicious of the two: minor skirmishes with outsiders or threats from the wilderness. In one scene, the protagonist may stumble into a precarious situation like a loose horse or a confrontation with a rival, and the Apache intervenes decisively, demonstrating both his skill and his protectiveness. This not only reinforces the protagonist's attraction but also establishes the stakes of their connection. Being seen together could provoke gossip, danger, or confrontation. The external threat amplifies the intimacy of their interactions, because in moments of shared risk, emotional barriers begin to fall. The psychological tension. The protagonist wrestles with his own feelings, oscillating between fear, shame, and longing. He begins to notice subtle details: the way the Apache's gaze softens, the touch of his hand on the shoulder, the quiet reassurance in his voice. These moments are electric with unspoken meaning, creating a slow, simmering desire that neither can fully acknowledge openly. The story emphasizes the complexity of desire. It is not simply physical, but emotional, psychological, and social. Each interaction is laden with subtext, every pause and glance a small battlefield of the heart. The groundwork for the story's central tension is firmly established. The protagonist's attraction to the Apache is undeniable, yet so is the fear of pursuing it. The Apache, confident but patient, subtly nudges the connection forward, ensuring that the eventual consummation of their feelings will feel earned and deeply satisfying. The stage is set for their bond to evolve, both in emotional depth and physical intimacy, as external pressures and internal desires converge in the coming parts of the story. Part 2 concludes with the protagonist caught between avoidance and fedelance surrender, his curiosity and longing mounting, leaving readers eager to see how he will respond to the Apache's next move. The protagonist reluctantly accepting that his fascination with the Apache cannot be ignored. The tension that has simmered in previous encounters begins to transform into something deeper, more intimate, and undeniably potent. The male protagonist, is acutely aware of the magnetic pull he feels toward the warrior, yet he struggles with guilt, fear, and social constraints. In the frontier town, relationships that defy societal norms are frowned upon, and the mere thought of reciprocating the Apache's desire ignites both excitement and anxiety. This part of the story explores the delicate balance between longing and restraint, desire and morality. The narrative establishes a series of private, secluded interactions that allow the protagonist and the Apache to explore their attraction more safely. These could be moments by the river at dusk, within the shadowed edges of the forest, or in an abandoned cabin hidden from prying eyes. In these settings, the story emphasizes small, meaningful gestures, the brush of a hand, the subtle meeting of eyes, or the protective presence of the Apache when danger lurks nearby. Each gesture carries double weight. It is both an expression of care and a spark of desire. The protagonist begins to notice these moments more keenly, interpreting them as evidence that the Apache's feelings are genuine and not merely lustful or fleeting. Emotional intimacy develops alongside physical tension. The Apache shares fragments of his past, a tale of family, tradition, and the burdens he carries as a warrior. He reveals vulnerabilities that he rarely shows to others, allowing the protagonist to glimpse the man beneath the formidable exterior. These revelations cultivate empathy, trust, and a deeper sense of connection, making the protagonist's attraction more complex and multidimensional. Love, in this part of the story, is not only about passion but also understanding and emotional resonance. The protagonist begins to recognize that his feelings are not fleeting infatuation. They are genuine and rooted in admiration, respect, and shared experience. External threats continue to heighten the tension, blending danger with desire. Perhaps a rival in the town notices their closeness, or an unexpected natural hazard, the threat of wild animals or a storm forces them into close proximity. These moments serve as catalysts, compelling them to rely on one another, thereby reinforcing both emotional and physical bonds. The protagonist is forced to confront the intensity of his feelings in situations where the Apache's presence is protective, reassuring, and undeniably intimate. These shared experiences create a heightened sense of urgency and deep connection. The story emphasizes the psychological complexity of forbidden desire. The protagonist oscillates between resisting the pull of passion and surrendering to it, wrestling with questions of identity, morality, and societal consequence. Every glance, every accidental touch, and every whispered word becomes charged with meaning, creating an atmosphere of simmering tension that readers can feel. The forbidden nature of their attraction makes each interaction more thrilling, as the stakes are not only emotional but also social and personal. The protagonist reaches a turning point. He can no longer deny the depth of his feelings. Desire has grown into something undeniable, intertwined with emotional intimacy and trust. The Apache, patient yet deliberate, subtly encouraged the protagonist to acknowledge his own longing, creating a mutual awareness of the attraction between them. The stage is now set for the next phase of the story, where their connection will be tested by external pressures and internal conflicts, ultimately leading to moments of vulnerability and intimacy that neither can resist. Solidifies the story's central theme. Love and desire are not merely physical, but a complex interplay of trust, courage, and emotional honesty, especially when facing societal constraints. Rising tension, both internal and external. The protagonist has begun to accept the intensity of his feelings for the Apache, but now the stakes are higher than ever. Their growing connection is no longer confined to fleeting moments of intimacy. It is becoming undeniable, and with it comes the realization that love and desire cannot exist without consequence. The frontier town remains watchful and subtle threats, both social and physical, loom over them. Gossip among townsfolk, suspicion from peers, or the presence of rival suitors amplifies the sense of danger. In this part, the narrative explores how passion is intertwined with risk, forcing the protagonist to confront the complexities of his emotions. A critical external crisis emerges, serving as the catalyst for pivotal character development. This could take the form of a literal threat, an approaching band of outlaws, a sudden wildfire, or a precarious accident in the wilderness, or a social challenge, such as discovery of their relationship by a judgmental observer. The crisis compels the protagonist to make a choice: cling to safety and societal approval, or embrace the emotional and physical connection he shares with the Apache despite potential repercussions. This moment underscores the central theme of Part 4. True desire often demands courage, risk, and vulnerability. The Apache plays a decisive role in guiding the protagonist through this turbulent period. True to his nature, he is protective yet respectful, never forcing the protagonist into action, but offering unwavering support and reassurance. Through his calm and decisive presence, the Apache demonstrates the depth of his feelings, showing that desire is not fleeting or purely physical. It is rooted in care, trust, and commitment. His actions are deliberate, from shielding the protagonist during danger to offering quiet words of encouragement in moments of doubt. This duality of strength and tenderness reinforces the protagonist's growing trust and emotional attachment. Internal conflict is heightened in this part, emphasizing the psychological complexity of love and desire. The protagonist struggles with fear, guilt, and hesitation, torn between societal expectations and the undeniable pull of his heart. He reflects on past experiences, questioning whether he is worthy of love and whether surrendering to desire might expose him to ridicule, judgment, or danger. Each decision becomes a test of courage, and every action carries weight. The story delves deeply into the protagonist's psyche, illustrating how love can be simultaneously exhilarating and terrifying, and how personal growth often arises from confronting these fears head-on. Amidst this tension, moments of quiet intimacy provide contrast and deepen the emotional resonance. Even in the face of crisis, the protagonist and the Apache share fleeting glances, whispered reassurances, and subtle touches that convey unspoken emotions. These instances reinforce the bond between them, demonstrating that love and desire are as much about emotional connection and trust as they are about physical attraction. The narrative emphasizes that in the midst of danger, vulnerability becomes a conduit for intimacy, allowing the characters to express feelings that words alone cannot capture. The protagonist reaches a turning point. The external threat forces him to confront the reality of his desires. Avoidance is no longer an option. He must choose to embrace the connection with the Apache fully, accepting both the risks and the rewards of love. This decision marks a significant moment of character growth, as he steps into emotional bravery and begins to acknowledge the depth of his feelings. The Apache's patient guidance and unwavering support help facilitate this transformation, ensuring that the bond they share is rooted in trust and mutual understanding. A concludes with a sense of resolution to the immediate danger but leaves the future uncertain. The protagonist has made his choice emotionally, but the external world still poses challenges. This ambiguity keeps the tension alive, setting where the protagonist and the Apache can explore their intimacy more openly and solidify their emotional and physical connection. The themes of courage, trust, and the intertwining of love and desire dominate this section, providing a rich foundation for the story's continued development. The emotional tension between the protagonist and the Apache reaching its peak. Following the dangerous choice in Part 4, The male protagonist has confronted his fears and chosen to embrace his feelings for the Apache fully. The story shifts from anticipation and hesitation to the unfolding of emotional and physical intimacy, illustrating the depth of connection that has been slowly building over the preceding parts. This section emphasizes that love is more than desire. It is mutual trust, vulnerability, and the courage to reveal one's true self. The setting reflects this transition. Secluded spaces, perhaps a quiet cabin, a moonlit clearing, or the soft edge of a riverbank, allow the characters to explore their bond without interference. The narrative focuses on sensory detail, the warmth of the Apache's hand, the gentle strength in his embrace, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, and the quiet words shared between them. These elements heighten the intimacy, reinforcing that their connection is as much emotional as it is physical. The protagonist begins to experience the profound comfort and reassurance that comes from being truly seen and accepted by someone he admires and desires. Dialogue plays a central role in Part 5, revealing the depth of their emotional bond. The Apache expresses his feelings clearly and with honesty, acknowledging both his desire and his care for the protagonist. His words are deliberate, blending passion with tenderness. He communicates not just longing but commitment, reinforcing the protagonist's sense of safety and trust. The male protagonist, in turn, begins to articulate his own emotions, initially hesitantly, then with growing confidence, affirming that his desire is intertwined with genuine affection. These exchanges solidify the mutual recognition of their connection, transforming attraction into a deep, shared love. Physical intimacy is treated with sensitivity and realism, highlighting consent, emotional readiness, and trust. Their moments of closeness are not rushed or merely lustful. They are a reflection of the trust and care that have developed over time. Touches, caresses, and shared warmth serve as expressions of vulnerability and affection, making the emotional stakes as significant as the physical ones. This careful development ensures that the reader experiences both the intensity of desire and the profundity of love. Capturing the complexity of their relationship, external pressures continue to serve as a backdrop, subtly reminding the protagonist and the Apache that their love exists in a world that may not understand or accept it. Perhaps a curious townsman observes them from a distance, or the memory of prior threats lingers in their minds. These external factors amplify the emotional intensity, as each shared moment feels precious, fleeting, and courageous. The story emphasizes that love is not simply an escape from the world, but a conscious choice to embrace intimacy despite risk. The transformative power of love. The male protagonist grows more confident, assertive, and self-aware as he engages in this relationship. He learns to navigate both his own fears and the complexities of desire, discovering strength in vulnerability. Similarly, the Apache's character is enriched by this emotional reciprocity. His protective nature is tempered by tenderness, and his intensity is softened by shared affection. Together, they form a partnership that balances passion, care, and mutual respect. The bond between the protagonist and the Apache has been solidified both emotionally and physically. They have crossed the threshold from longing and tension into a shared recognition of love, trust, and desire. This part of the story marks a turning point. Their connection is now undeniable, and the narrative shifts toward exploring what it means to live and love openly despite societal or personal obstacles. The stage is set for the final part, where the consequences of their relationship and the promise of a future together will be revealed. Therefore, serves as the emotional and narrative climax of intimacy, blending desire with deep trust, vulnerability, and mutual recognition. It demonstrates that true love is not merely the fulfillment of desire, but the courage to be fully present with another person, sharing both body and heart in equal measure. The emotional and narrative resolution of the story, focusing on the consequences of the protagonist's decision to embrace his love and desire for the Apache. Having faced fear, danger, and the uncertainty of societal judgment, the protagonist now steps into a new phase of life, one defined by emotional honesty, mutual trust, and shared intimacy. This final part emphasizes the transformative power of love and the courage required to live authentically in a world that may not fully understand or accept it. The story opens with the aftermath of their shared moments in part 5. The protagonist and the Apache find themselves in a moment of quiet reflection, perhaps at dawn as the first light illuminates the frontier town, or along a riverbank where the water flows steadily and quietly, a symbolic mirror of their emotions. Here, the narrative emphasizes the serenity and stability that can follow intense emotional turbulence. Their bond, forged through tension, danger, and desire, is now solid, and both characters experience a sense of relief, belonging, and connection. For the protagonist, this is the first time he has felt fully seen and accepted, not just by another person but by himself. Dialogue in this section reinforces the emotional growth of both characters. The Apache expresses a sense of commitment and reassurance, acknowledging the risks they face but affirming that their bond is worth every challenge. He communicates not just desire but respect and love, emphasizing that their intimacy extends beyond the physical realm. The protagonist, in turn, articulates his gratitude, trust, and love, demonstrating how much he has grown through their relationship. Their conversation reflects mutual understanding, shared vulnerability, and the excitement of facing a future together, however uncertain it may be. The story also addresses the realities of the world around them. While they have found personal happiness, external pressures, societal judgment, cultural expectations, or lingering threats remain present. The narrative shows that love does not eliminate obstacles, but equips individuals to face them with courage and resilience. The protagonist and the Apache may take practical steps to protect their relationship, whether by creating private spaces for themselves, establishing boundaries with others, or embracing their connection openly despite risk. This realism adds depth to the resolution, emphasizing that true love involves both passion and pragmatic resilience. Symbolism plays a crucial role in Part 6, highlighting themes of growth, freedom, and shared destiny. The sunrise over the town, the steady flow of the river, or a symbolic object exchanged between the two characters, such as a token of commitment or a personal belonging, signifies hope, continuity, and the promise of a future together. These symbols underscore that their relationship is no longer defined solely by tension or secrecy, but by mutual support, respect, and a willingness to embrace life fully, together. Emotionally, allows both characters to reflect on their journey. The protagonist acknowledges the courage it took to face his fears, accept his desires, and embrace love without apology. The Apache, in turn, demonstrates the rewards of patience, respect, and emotional honesty, showing that strength and tenderness can coexist. Their shared reflection highlights the transformative power of intimacy, desire, and trust, offering a sense of closure while leaving room for ongoing growth and adventure. The story concludes with a sense of hope and possibility. While the world may still present challenges, the protagonist and the Apache have established a foundation of trust, love, and mutual understanding. The closing scene mirrors the initial confession from Part 1, but now it is mutual, profound, and fully embraced. We need each other in every way. This line signifies not only their passion but also their commitment, the triumph of emotional honesty, and the courage to pursue love against the odds. The themes of the story: desire, courage, emotional intimacy, and societal tension while leaving readers with a sense of resolution, hope, and the promise of a shared future. It underscores that love is both a risk and a reward, requiring honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to embrace life fully with another person.